Birth is not the beginning. Death is not the end. Flow with whatever may happen, and let your mind be free. Do not struggle. Go with the flow of things, and you will find yourself at one with the mysterious unity of the universe. A frog in a well cannot conceive of the ocean. A path is made by walking on it. Once I dreamed I was a butterfly, and now I no longer know whether I am Cheng Su, who dreamed I was a butterfly, or whether I am a butterfly dreaming that I am Cheng Su. The effect of life in society is to complicate and confuse our existence, making us forget who we really are by causing us to become obsessed with what we are not. The right way to go easy is to forget the right way. The perfect man uses his mind as a mirror. It grasps nothing. It regrets nothing. It receives but does not keep. The wise man knows that it is better to sit on the banks of a remote mountain stream than to be emperor of the whole world. Do not seek fame. Do not make plans. Do not be absorbed by activities. Do not think that you know. Be aware of all that is and dwell in the infinite. Wander where there is no path. Be all that heaven gave you, but act as though you have received nothing. Be empty, that is all. Am I a human dreaming I am a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming I am a human? You cannot speak of ocean to a well frog, the creature of a narrower sphere. You cannot speak of ice to a summer insect, the creature of a season. Those who realize their folly are not true fools. Forget the years, forget distinctions. Leap into the boundless and make it your home. When people do not ignore what they should ignore, but ignore what they should not ignore, this is known as ignorance. Perfect happiness is the absence of striving for happiness. If you have insight, you use your inner eye, your inner ear, to pierce to the heart of things, and have no need of intellectual knowledge. Let your mind wander in the pure and simple. Be one with the infinite. Let all things take their course. The sound of water says what I think. All men know the use of the useful, but nobody knows the use of the useless. Where can I find a man who has forgotten words, so that I can have a word with him? When you're dreaming, you don't know it's a dream. You might even interpret a dream in your dream and then wake up and realize it was all a dream. Perhaps a great awakening will reveal this to be a dream as well. Silence and non-action are the root of all things. To exercise no thought and rest in nothing is the first step toward resting in Tao. To start from nowhere and follow no road is the first step toward attaining Tao. Rewards and punishments are the lowest form of education. You will always find an answer in the sound of water. Birth is not a beginning. Death is not an end. There is existence without limitation. There is continuity without a starting point. When there is no more separation between this and that, it is called the still point of the Tao. At the still point in the center of the circle, one can see the infinite in all things. The ultimate happiness is doing nothing. My opinion is that you never find happiness until you stop looking for it. If water derives lucidity from stillness, how much more the faculties of the mind? We are born from a quiet sleep, and we die to a calm awakening. He who regards all things as one is a companion of nature. Your mind must become one. Do not try to understand with your ears, but with your heart. Indeed, not with your heart, but with your soul. For we can only know that we know nothing, and a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Hence, it demands the emptiness of all the faculties. And when the faculties are empty, then the whole being listens. There is then a direct grasp of what is right there before you. That can never be heard with the ear or understood with the mind. During our dreams, we do not know we are dreaming. We may even dream of interpreting a dream. Only on waking do we know it was a dream. Only after the Great Awakening will we realize that this is the great dream. Water becomes clear and transparent when in a quiescent stage. How much the more wonderful will be the mind of a sage. When poised in quiescence, it is the mirror of heaven and earth, reflecting the 10,000 things. Tao is beyond words and beyond things. It is not expressed either in word or in silence. Where there is no longer word or silence, Tao is apprehended. Where can I find a man who has forgotten words so I can talk with him? Your preciousness lies in your essence. It cannot be lost by anything that happens. Let everything be allowed to do what it naturally does, so that its nature will be satisfied. Let your mind wander in simplicity. Blend your spirit with the vastness. Follow along with things the way they are, and make no room for personal views. Then the world will be governed. All the fish needs is to get lost in the water. All man needs is to get lost in Tao. When deeds and words are in accord, the whole world is transformed. The living all find death unpleasant. Men mourn over it. And yet, what is death but the unbending of the bow in its return to its case? Men honor what lies within the sphere of their knowledge, but do not realize how dependent they are on what lies beyond it. Each one's destiny cannot be altered. The perfect man of old looked after himself first before looking to help others. Being is thoughtless beyond and beneath all categories of thought. Expression is the realization of creative thought. Being is still. Expression, moving. But then if I do not strive, who will? Verily, God does not reward man for what he does, but for what he is. The hearing that is only in the ears is one thing. The hearing of the understanding is another. But the hearing of the Spirit is not limited to any one faculty to the ear or to the mind. Heaven is in everything. Follow the light. Hide in the cloudiness and begin in what is. Do this, and your understanding will be like not understanding, and your wisdom will be like not being wise. By not being wise, you will become wise later. He who knows the activities of nature lives according to nature. Understanding that rests in what it does not understand is the finest. He who does his work like a machine grows, a heart like a machine, and he who carries the heart of a machine in his breast loses his simplicity. He who has lost his simplicity becomes unsure in the strivings of his soul. Great knowledge sees all in one. Small knowledge breaks down into the many. The perfect man employs his mind as a mirror. Words are for meaning. When you've got the meaning, you can forget the words. To be constant is to be useful. To be useful is to realize one's true nature. Realization of one's true nature is happiness. When one reaches happiness, one is close to perfection. Study is to study what cannot be studied. Undertaking means undertaking what cannot be undertaken. Philosophizing is to philosophize about what cannot be philosophized about. Knowing that knowing is unknowable is true perfection. The portal of God is non-existence. All things sprang from non-existence. Existence could not make existence existence. It must have proceeded from non-existence and non-existence, and nothing or one. Herein is the abiding place of the sage. The way is to man as rivers and lakes are to fish, the natural condition of life. The torch of doubt and chaos. This is what the sage steers by. To be truly ignorant, be content with your own knowledge. Good order results spontaneously when things are let alone. When affirmation and negation came into being, Tao faded. After Tao faded, then came one-sided attachments. Listening stops with the ears. The mind stops with recognition, but spirit is empty and waits on all things. Compare birth with death. Compare death with life. Compare what is possible with what is not possible. And compare what is not possible with what is possible. Because there is not. And because there is not, there is. Forget about life. Forget about worrying about right and wrong. Plunge into the unknown and the endless, and find your place there. All men know the utility of useful things, but they do not know the utility of futility. Why don't you try wandering with me to the palace of not even anything? Calculate what man knows, and it cannot compare to what he doesn't know. Calculate the time he is alive, and it cannot compare to the time before he was born. Yet man takes something so small and tries to exhaust the dimensions of something so large. Look at this window. It is nothing but a hole in the wall. But because of it, the whole room is full of light. So when the faculties are empty, the heart is full of light. We cling to our own point of view, as though everything depended on it. Yet our opinions have no permanence. Like autumn and winter, they gradually pass away. I am going to try speaking some reckless words, and I want you to try to listen recklessly. He who knows he is a fool is not the biggest fool. He who knows he is confused is not in the worst confusion. The fact is that those who do not see themselves, but who see others, who fail to grasp of themselves, but who grasp others, take possession of what others have, but fail to possess themselves, they are attracted to what others enjoy, but fail to find enjoyment in themselves. The space under the sky is occupied by all things in their unity. Standards are different for all things. So the standard set by man is by. No means the only certain standard. If you mistake what is relative for something certain, you have strayed far from the ultimate truth. The man who has forgotten self may be said to have entered heaven. If one is true to one's inner self and follows its wisdom, who is without a teacher? The way comes about as we walk it. Sound intelligence promises victory in every battle. Human life is limited, but knowledge is limitless. To drive the limited in pursuit of the limitless is fatal, and to presume that one really knows is fatal indeed. If the way is made clear, it is not the way. Running around accusing others is not as good as laughing, and enjoying a good laugh is not as good as going along with things. Tao is the source of both fullness and emptiness, but it is itself neither fullness nor emptiness. Cherish that which is in you, and shut out that which is without, for much knowledge is a curse. The enlightened attention rejects nothing nor welcomes anything. Like a mirror, it responds equally to all. You are still guided by your expectations. Great knowledge is universal. Small knowledge is limited. Great words are inspiring. Small words are chatter. My description of wisdom has nothing to do with benevolence and righteousness. It is to do with being wise in one's own virtue. Nothing more. My description of being has nothing to do with benevolence and righteousness. It is that one should be led by one's innate nature, nothing more. Emptiness is the fasting of the mind. Heaven is like an egg, and the earth is like the yolk of the egg. Are you and I perchance caught up in a dream from which we have not yet awakened? That knowledge which stops at what it does not know is the highest knowledge. The perfect man uses his mind like a mirror, going after nothing, welcoming nothing, responding but not storing. The creature born is the creature dying. I obtained life because the time was right. I will lose life because it is time. Those who go quietly with the flow of nature are not worried by either joy or sorrow. People like these were considered in the past as having achieved freedom from bondage. Those who cannot free themselves are constrained by things. So it is said, for him who understands heavenly joy. Life is the working of heaven. Death is the transformation of things. In stillness, he and the yin share a single virtue. In motion, he and the yang share a single flow. If you have grasped the purpose of life, there is no point in trying to make life into something it is not or cannot be. When I talk about having good hearing, I don't mean just listening, but listening to yourself. When I talk about good eyesight, I don't mean just looking, but looking at yourself. In the midst of darkness, he alone sees the dawn. In the midst of the soundless, he alone hears harmony. Transmit the established facts. Do not transmit words of exaggeration. If you do that, you will probably come out all right. All existing things are really one. We regard those that are beautiful and rare as valuable, and those that are ugly as foul and rotten. The foul and rotten may come to be transformed into what is rare and valuable, and the rare and valuable into what is foul and rotten. The whole world is incapable of judging either right or wrong, but it is certain that actionless action can judge both right and wrong. If we look on heaven and earth as a single crucible, and on the Creator as the founder, would there be any place I could not go? When it is time, I will fall asleep, and when the right time comes, I will wake up again. Don't go in and hide. Don't come out and shine. Stand stock still in the middle. things joined by profit, when pressed by misfortune and danger, will cast each other aside. Only fools imagine they are already awake. How clearly they understand everything. How easily they distinguish this deception from that reality. Although things seem to be sometimes going up, and sometimes descending, sometimes slipping away, nevertheless, there is a reality, the same today as in the past. It does not change, for nothing can affect it. Could we not say, it is one great harmony, so why shouldn't we ask about it? To go outside what your charge was, and to try to solve everything yourself, is dangerous. My most interesting memory is of my first real dream. I was a caterpillar, wriggling around in the earth, just the way a caterpillar would, following my caterpillar whims, completely unaware of anyone. Can a man cling to the positive without any negative, in contrast to which it is seen to be positive? If he claims to do so, he is a rouge or a madman. Moreover, I have heard that those who are fond of praising men to their faces are also fond of damning them behind their backs. To have a human form of a joyful thing, but in the universe of possible forms, there are others just as good. shoe fits, the foot is forgotten. When the belt fits, the belly is forgotten. When the heart is right, for and against are forgotten. No drives, no compulsions, no needs, no attractions. Then your affairs are under control. You are a free man. A fish trap is for catching fish. Once you've caught the fish, you can forget about the trap. A rabbit snare is for catching rabbits. Once you've caught the rabbit, you can forget about the snare. Words are for catching ideas. Once you've caught the idea, you can forget about the words. Where can I find a person who knows how to forget about words, so that I can have a few words with them? If you were to hide the world in the world, so that nothing could get away, this would be the final reality of the constancy of things. The true man breathes with his heels. Not to understand is profound. To understand is shallow. Not to understand is to be on the inside. To understand is to be on the outside. Those who count things are not worthy of assisting the people. Don't you know about the praying mantis? That waved its arms angrily in front of an approaching carriage, unaware that they were incapable of stopping it. Such was the high opinion it had of its talents. All men know the use of the useful, but nobody knows the use of the useless. When men do not forget what can be forgotten, but forget what cannot be forgotten, that may be called true forgetting. Can you be a little baby? The baby hauls all day, yet its throat never gets hoarse harmony at its height. The baby makes fists all day, yet its fingers never get cramped virtue as all it holds too. The baby stares all day without blinking. Its eyes it has no preferences in the world of externals. Once upon a time, I dreamt I was a butterfly, fluttering hither and thither, to all intents and purposes a butterfly. I was conscious only of my happiness as a butterfly, unaware that I was myself. Soon I awaked, and there I was, veritably myself again. Now I do not know whether I was then a man dreaming I was a butterfly, or whether I am now a butterfly, dreaming I am a man. When I speak of good hearing, I do not mean listening to others. I mean simply listening to yourself. When I speak of good eyesight, I do not mean looking at others. I mean simply looking at yourself. He who does not look at himself, but looks at others, who does not get hold of himself, but gets hold of others, is getting what other men have got and failing to get what he himself has got. He finds joy in what brings joy to other men, but finds no joy in what would bring joy to himself.